What's up? What's up, guys? Carmine Danisco here. Got an awesome show planned. When you talk about craziness in the world, and then you talk about made in America, there is no place that you ain't going to get the best information. I mean, there's no better time for this show. Let me bring him on. Made in America, Mr. Christopher Guerrero. What's happening?
Hey, Carmine, boy, you said that, man, huh? Made in America. Who'd ever thought? I always believed in America. I always buy American. I don't know. There's something about that. And now producing all of my products in America, I never would have thought that it would be the damaging situation currently happening with products and the shipping cost. It's completely out of control. And I haven't missed a beat. All my products are shipping on time. Yeah, we're seeing some cost increases like everyone else, but having a plant where you build your own products, you can eliminate the cost inside the plant, and that's where my lean background provides an incredible process that when you're building your own tools and you're injection molding your own product and you're fulfilling your own product, hey, made in America is real.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I don't think there's been a time, at least in my 20 something years of doing this, where this means so much. And we're not making it lightly. There's people out there that are really suffering around the world with products.
Correct.
But being able, like when you see the news, Chris, and they're talking about all this stuff, you're going, I don't need to listen to this.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, and some people are trying to piggyback onto Made in America. Like, you've never been Made in America. So stop. You got to believe in what you believe in. If you thought that was a good way to do it, why all of a sudden, right? Now the time is to make the change. It's funny. I've got an opportunity to deal with the sharks from my Shark Tank experience, right? And we're talking a little bit, and I was able to let them know that I'm an approved manufacturing site of Walmart. I mean, that didn't happen overnight. That's not an easy goal or objective to obtain, and we've got approval. We've been audited, and we can supply to any Walmart facility as made in America. So, I mean, that has just a bigger ring than ever now.
Wow. That's amazing, because it's what's funny, with the factories I would deal with overseas, we look for factories that are Walmart certified. It's one of the best certifications that we can prove to our clients that the factories are good. It's unbelievable that your factory is Walmart certified. That's awesome.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of buyer changes. I mean, I think I've had 4 buyer changes on one of the products in the last year.
Yeah.
You have all that. I think Walmart just announced they're going back to the offices next month.
Oh,
this will be the first time, I think, in, oh boy, more than a year for sure, maybe close to 2 years. It seems like, I mean, it's hard to believe that in next March 2022 is when that COVID started to really become a real thing. I think it started earlier than that, but truly became like a pandemic. And of course, it was right as we were launching a product into Walmart. How ironic. But yeah, it's it's a different world today. You see gas prices going up, plastic, with that, plastic prices go up. So you've got to find shipping costs. You've got to find other means to get that cost out. And it's all in process control. When you're molding products and you have value add that you typically apply to those products, you got to find a way to do it with improved labor efficiencies, with improved process. And again, we talked about it in the past. I've got it down to a point where when that mold closes, all the value add using the same labor is done on the outside of the machine. So you're not increasing cost. And think about the freight now. Right, I'm not moving any product, right? I'm bringing product in, we're building it, and we're shipping it back out. Mm-hmm. So think about the additional handling you get from the carriers, from the coast, from the fulfillment houses. Trucking costs. That cost is skyrocketed. And I know you do some things outside of the U.S., Carmine. So maybe you can talk a little bit about that as comparison. But anytime someone touches it, they're getting paid, right? Which becomes a non-value to your cost of your product.
Yeah.
So I always try to relate to product costs. What is the customer willing and accepting to pay for?
Yeah.
So when you understand that, they're not paying for you to move it from the border, from the coast to, let's say, Indiana to fulfill. That's just an added cost. Somewhere, somebody's going to pay for that. It's not what you want in your product costs, especially when you're dealing with retail.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, and, just to go over that, you're right. A lot of times a client will tell me, oh, well, I'm going to raise their costs. I say, no, you can't do that. There are business costs. You can't amortize them into the price of your product, or you won't be able to bring it to retail because the price will be way too high. So that's where somebody like you, Chris, that can help them realize what costs can be absorbed and what costs are going to come out of your pocket. So, when I go to a country, whether it's Taiwan or Korea or China or an Asian country, the ways that I do things are very, very different because I have multiple people, multiple factories. I'll have a mold factory create the molds, and then they'll move it to the plastic factory. I'll have materials brought in. Sometimes I'll have a bag that the product's going to go into, made in Korea. Then they ship it to China. All these things are added costs. And then it's going to go to an assembly factory, at one point, all of those costs combined were lower costs. But then the big thing is I have somebody put it together, as you said, they got to check it. Then I have my QA team come in. The QA comes in, they look at the product, they put it in a box, and now they package it up. But the real cost now is logistics. They call it FOB. So now we take that box from the factory, we're moving it to the port. Then we're loading it into containers, put it on a ship, or air freighting it. So the great part about what you're doing with some of your products or all your products is that it's everything I just explained, obviously in a small percentage, there's a lot of other things. It's contained in one place. I mean, Chris, no one can do that.
Yeah, and I haven't felt any effects other than some price increases that everybody's seeing. So we're looking at ways, obviously, internally to remove the cost out of the process so we maintain. So I guess I could thank BMW for a lot of that, right? Back in the days when I was an executive at BMW, that's where I really got heavily involved in lean. And we were compared as a manufacturing plant across the globe against, plants that had $10 a day labor. We were paying $25, $30 an hour labor. So you have to remove costs everywhere, purchasing goods, no matter what it is, process, any type of scrap. So that's what I'm always a stickler when I see somebody walking, right? Why are you walking? Why do you need to walk? Again, it's a non-value. So you always try to put your value add, right? The value that your customer is willing to pay for against all the non-value added processes that they don't want to pay for, and you can't absorb them. And labor is a big one, because once you make a mistake with labor, it's over. I mean, you can make too much inventory and eventually sell it, right? And regain some cash. But once you paid for labor, you will never see that return. It's gone. It's like scrap. You'll never get it back. So those are key indicators. And you mentioned, port to warehouses, port trucking to a fulfillment center. That's all, to me, it's a non-value.
Yep.
There is no value in that. So I haven't felt any effects of delivering product.
Yeah.
Truly. I mean, outside of the cost increases that everybody's seeing, right? With basic shipping costs, whether it's a drop ship, right? Or plastic costs. I mean, anything along that line, everybody is seeing that across the globe. But now you've got the additional freight on non-value or warehousing non-value costs that have skyrocketed. I'm not seeing any of that. Yeah. I don't have any of those costs. So my impact on this mess is very, very limited on what I'm seeing, and I'm able to deliver. And we haven't missed any orders. We continue to ship. We continue to sell out. We can put the tool back in pretty quick. And that's the benefit, I think, of having it under one roof. You're not waiting for anyone else to determine when you're going to ship. When you're going to ship. When the tool's going. When you're molding a new product. When you're shipping. So there's no guessing game here. I'm not looking around and saying, "Hey, is that my Christmas gift on that carrier in the middle of the ocean?" I'm not having to deal with any of that.
Yeah, what a nightmare that is. But one of the things that I like about what you do is that when I am moving product or doing different things, I always have a QA person, check it before it goes in a box. Let's talk a little bit about how, because of you're doing it all in house and you have, so little movement, the quality of the product is outstanding, right? I mean, you probably have such little quality issues.
Yeah, I mean, it's all early stages, right? When you get it, when you get a new customer, you look at your critical characteristics, what you want dimensioned. I mean, the tooling is really critical, right? But then when you do your first piece sampling, the dimensions, the fit, the function, all that's done early on, and all of those guidelines are set, preset. So no matter who runs the press, you have preset limits on what's acceptable and what's not. You have visuals, good, bad, and then you set it up. And once you set it up and you run it, then you have somebody physically looking at each product for the no-go and go gauges, for the visual quality inspection aesthetics, and it's live, it's right in hand. You know when it's good and when it's not. And typically, once you have a part running, especially injection molding, it runs. I mean, it flows, and it literally goes from the press to what other value adds. In some cases, you put on stickers, sometimes pads, or you put on some additional clips, and it goes into a box. Onto a box, right? Then from that point, it goes onto a skid. It either gets shipped out the door or it gets shipped on inventory, depending on what your next production cycle is. And so it's live. All of that is happening now. You're not putting it in a box hoping somebody overseas made a decision that the quality was right. How many times have you heard that? It started out good. I got a sample. When I got my actual production, which, by the way, you've already paid for.
That's right.
Now you got it in your hand. That's not what you expect. I mean, we talked to Mike about that, right? Mike Watts, about his love handle, how much grief he had early on with a large inventory he purchased. I want to say it was $100,000, and it wasn't quite right. He had to rework it all. So I don't have that issue. That issue is completely eliminated. And now Mike's making everything in the US, and he's got an incredible a customer base and a brand, and he's got a great product, and he's shipping them out just as fast as he's getting orders, much like me, and he's controlling his own quality right in hand.
Wow, that's awesome. You know what I love about the stories you tell about your product and how you set up the factories is that this person's doing something with his left hand, and what are you doing with your right hand? You have to be doing something with it. I just think it's so cool, because a lot of times you don't think about that. You're doing this, but when that comes off, you could be doing something else while you're waiting for the injection and things. Utilizing that time, that's money. That's pure money each time.
No, it really is. And sometimes you think it's not much, but when you start adding it up, I mean, I can tell you another company out of New York that I used to run, and I remember going there, and there was 3 floors, 3 levels of production. I mean, which is already a bad start, because now you're moving material through 3 floors. But even worse than that, some of the operations were in the farthest part of the building that had to be sent to the opposite side. And I can recall saying, why would you do that? And it just becomes a normal way of working. You don't know what you don't know until you know. So my first thing is, let me do a value add strategy, right? So I'll do a value add stream. I'll look at, when you're done with your product, you have to move it across the floor. Then that gets moved again to a different department. And what I was finding is some of these folks were walking 2 to 3 miles a day. That's non-value, like literally walking, moving product. And of course, along the way, they would stop and talk to other people, which makes them inefficient. So now you've got a plant that's just not efficient. So you do these studies, you take videos, you do all your spaghetti diagrams, you do all your walkthroughs, your values, your takt time, your process. And then you say, here's how it should look. It should be in a cell. It should be self-contained. This particular process should be next to the dock. So once you do your 3 steps, it goes into the truck and gets shipped.
Yep.
So then you go from now walking 2 to 3 miles a day, taking, some of this lead times were 12 to 15 weeks on some of the product. Now you go from that to walking literally 50 feet, and you're shipping in 3 days.
Yeah.
So you're building to order basically, and you don't have to carry the same amount of inventory. So you free up cash. You're obviously getting paid faster from the time your order comes in. So you increase your cash flow. You improve your quality. There's no movement damage. There's no double and triple handling. You improve your efficiencies. Your labor cost goes down. And in the end, the piece price, the ultimate cost of your product is 100% lower than it was when you started. And now you take a plant that was doing it in 3 floors, which was at the time 100,000 square feet, and you're doing the same amount of production and a quarter of that. And over time, it's just now throughput. So you increase your sales by 3 times the amount in, 20% of the space.
Yeah.
It blows people away. Then they feel better. They're not as tired. They're more efficient. They're getting better paychecks. They're getting bigger bonuses. It has this whole ripple effect. Yeah. And you make for a happy made in USA company.
What's great about that is you have the naysayers, like, oh, that'll never work, or this. And all of a sudden when they see it work, because you can't convince them it's going to work until they see it. And then when they do, they become believers.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I've got a lot of great stories. We won't tie up too much today, but this one in particular, a fellow had been there 25 years, just watching, not saying much, stuck in the old ways of doing things, right? Just like who is this new guy? I've been doing this 25 years. What's he going to show me? Yeah. And I never try to show anybody anything that they know. They're the experts, but I do know how to reduce cost. I know how to remove what we call muda, right? Waste in the process. I know how to get product out faster at a higher quality rate. And when we start making these changes, I always bring them into it. So it becomes teaching, educating, and then we'll do a small Gemba Kaizen event in a location, and we'll get a lot of input. What would you like to see? How would you like to see it? Do takt times. Some of it's very basic, and then some of it can get very technical. So I try to keep it very simple. And then after a while, they just go, wow, why don't we do this? Why don't we do this? Then this guy wants to be on it. And then you have a committee, you have a group of people that see the changes, and it becomes an effect. And then when they see now they have a bigger bonus check every Christmas, they go, this stuff really does work. And then they see increased sales and faster throughput, happier customers, happier employees. It becomes easy. Then now they're pushing you harder to do more.
Yeah.
So that's my excitement. And I think, Carmine, we're going to start up a workshop soon, right? And start talk about teaching this.
Yeah. Whew, I can't wait. I mean, you had an idea, a few months ago about, hey, we should go on the road. We had the podcast and we're reaching people, but doing a workshop, going all through this, everything we're talking about, and having people in the building talking to us, asking questions. It's going to be awesome, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think once we get that established, we can start even going to some of the colleges and educating the, and that's where it starts at the early ages. So You're doing it right the first time. You're not trying to fix it or clean it up afterwards. You want to launch things, especially products in the inventor world. You want to launch it the right way the first time. It's the most efficient. It's the best use of your money. And really, at the end of the day, it's going to be sold. And it's going to keep, you're going to keep it sold, and you're going to get repeat orders. Everybody wants repeat orders. That's what builds the brand.
Yeah. Well, 100%. The great part about the workshop is, and if we bring other people on, we can cover the entire sequence from ideation. You just got your idea. So somebody who just thought their idea can come into the workshop. Also, all the way through to somebody who has product and they're selling it. We can help them. We can fill in the gaps. We can help in any way possible. And of course, introduce them to the right people. That's what's great about the workshop is it's not just for a specific type person.
Yeah, right. It's a complete process. You're absolutely right. And that whole, you don't know what you don't know until you know, usually until you know has been too late. You spent too much money. You've got too much scrap. Your process is not right. Well, it's the know-how up front so that you can do it. And you do it efficient, and you use anybody launching new products is not sitting around with a bag full of cash. So you want to maximize that right up front and utilize it the best you can. And that's what I think we'll be able to really bring a lot to this industry and help folks launch their products.
Yeah. All the way through to, hey, you want to get on TV, you want to get on Shark Tank. You've been on multiple TV segments, let alone Shark Tank. So there's that side too. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. We're putting the finishing touches on it. We'll start announcing it. But yeah, I'm really excited about it. And, obviously through the UIA, we'll be doing some other events But this particular workshop is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I agree. And listen, it's Halloween, man. This is no trick. This will be a treat.
Yes.
So happy Halloween.
Yeah, 100%. So we're gonna kind of hang up the show today. Again, appreciate Chris, your time, your experience, your knowledge. It's really helping a lot of people. We were at the hardware show. We got a lot of comments on the Made in America show, your show, and how it was helping them. And we appreciate that. Thank you for spending the time on these podcasts. If you would like to, and you're listening, you like our show, please go on out to Google Play, iTunes, or wherever you consume your podcast content. Leave us a review, a rating. We'd very much like that. Find Chris on all the social media sites. Also, go out to his YouTube channel or the Launch Network YouTube channel where you can watch us live and see how we're doing. And that's about it for today's show. Chris, I thank you for jumping on today, and all you listeners out there, thanks for coming on with Made in America, Mr. Christopher Guerrera. You all take care, and we will talk to you soon.